Hello, everyone. I'm William McDonald, and I want you to take a moment and imagine an athlete coming off a serious injury, but they feel amazing. They feel ready to compete. But in a trainer's office or coach's office, there's a dashboard flashing red. Who gets the final say? The model, the coach, the medical staff, or the athlete? That's the question at the center of my project. How can colleges use AI to support readiness without letting a score replace human judgment? Colleges already collect plenty of athletic data, but everyone sees a different piece of the athlete. You have coaches who see the practice output, trainers who look over and see the symptoms, performance staff that sees workload and recovery. Now, the athlete themselves feels the fatigue, the soreness, stress, and context that may never reach an actual dashboard. So, the problem is not really a lack of information, it is how to combine uncertain signals without turning them into a medical conclusion. My solution is not an AI that decides who can play, it is a review prompt that helps the right people take a closer look. So, the system checks approved data, then produces a green, amber, or red status with a short explanation. At this point, automation stops. A qualified professional compares the results with symptoms, clinical information, the schedule, and what the athlete has to say. The boundary is clear. AI can flag and explain, but it cannot diagnose an injury, clear ready to play, or remove an athlete on its own. So, why be cautious? Because the research doesn't really support treating injury prediction like clinical certainty. One review actually examined 204 sports injury prediction models. 98% had a high or unclear risk of bias, and none had been externally validated for practice. Research also shows that an athlete's own report of well being may respond to training changes more consistently than common device measures. Accuracy is only part of the ethical issue. Power matters a lot as well. Athletes generate the data and live with the consequences, while coaches, schools, and vendors control opportunities and resources. That makes consent extremely complicated. An athlete may, let's say, agree to monitoring while worrying that refusal could affect playing time or status. My ethical matrix focuses on three tensions: safety versus false labeling, choice versus surveillance, and consistent care versus unequal errors. This is why medical staff, not the coaches or the model, must keep clinical authority. These safeguards cannot be added at the end. They must follow the entire design cycle. Collection needs voluntary participation and clear purpose limits. Development needs documented data and labels, plus separation between training and testing. Validation must look beyond overall accuracy and test errors across relevant groups. Once deployed, athletes need explanation, correction, and a real appeal process. Ongoing audits must watch for drift and misuse. If the system can no longer meet safety, privacy, fairness, or purpose requirements, it should be suspended or fully retired. Another strong safeguard is using less data. The model may use approved workload, wellness, recovery, movement, and relevant injury history, but scholarship, recruiting, roster, discipline, and contract information should never enter the readiness score. Vendors should not reuse the data without separate permission, and demographic information, when lawful and appropriate, stays separate and is used only for group level fairness audits, not to score an individual athlete. So, what would a responsible rollout actually look like? I recommend a voluntary 1 year pilot that starts in shadow mode. The system produces results, but they do not influence clinical or coaching decisions yet. Only after meeting safety, privacy, fairness, and athlete trust standards should it move into limited use with one or two sports. Oversight should include medical staff, privacy, and security. data scientists, independent ethics review, and athlete representatives with an actual vote. Serious harm, a data breach, unfair subgroup performance, unsafe reliance, or athlete retaliation should trigger suspension. The system must earn the right to scale. So my takeaway is simple. AI can support athlete readiness, but it should never become the final authority over an athlete's body or opportunity. A defensible system needs a narrow purpose, meaningful choice, human clinical authority, and evidence before expansion. We know AI can produce a score. The real question will always be whether an institution can govern that score responsibly. Thank you.